So billionaire Bill Gates was on CNN, and he was shockingly asked about his relationship with the billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Take a look at this.
A lot to get to regarding the pandemic, but since we last spoke, there's obviously been a lot of reporting about more personal topics, and they may impact the foundation. So I want to just ask you a couple of questions about that, and I know you feel some things have been misreported, so I'll just start there. Obviously, in May, you and your wife, Melinda, announced you were ending your marriage after 27 years. On Monday, this week, the divorce was finalized. Just on a personal level, how are you doing?
It's definitely a very sad milestone. Melinda's a great person, and that partnership that we had coming to an end is a source of great personal sadness. We are communicating and working at the foundation, and so that partnership we're going to try and continue.
The foundation said that there's going to be like a 2-year trial period to see that if you two can continue to work together. That's your hope, that you can.
Well, yeah, the Melinda has incredible strengths that she brings that help the foundation be better. We always enjoyed our work together. Two of us can go out and work with leaders and help build the organization. So, that would be definitely the best thing for the foundation.
There's a couple of things of reporting that have been out there I want to ask you about, and I think it's no one's business what happens in a person's marriage. The New York Times and Wall Street Journal both reported in recent months that Melinda was concerned about a relationship you had with Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time you met him in 2011 had been already convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor. The Times reported she hired divorce attorneys around the time in October 2019 when that contact with Epstein became public. Can you explain your relationship with Epstein? Did you have any concerns? Was there ever any concerns you had about it?
Oh, certainly. I had several dinners with him, hoping that what he said about getting billions of philanthropy for global health through contacts that he had might emerge. When it looked like that wasn't a real thing, that relationship ended. But it was a huge mistake to spend time with him, to give him the credibility of, being there. There were lots of others in that same situation, but I made a mistake.
There's been reporting about workplace behavior in the past. The New York Times reported 6 women from Microsoft, the company you created, your foundation, and the financial firm that manages your fortune said that your behavior at times created an uncomfortable workplace environment. I know a spokeswoman for you acknowledged you had an affair 20 years ago with a Microsoft employee that she said ended amicably. Do you have regrets?
Well, certainly I think everyone does, but it's a time of reflection, and at this point I need to go forward. My work is very important to me. Within the family, we'll heal as best we can and learn from what's happened.
Well, just on a personal level, I'm sorry for what you and your family are going through.
There's a lot to say there. So Anderson Cooper sort of weaves back and forth between being sad and doing a decent job. The sad stuff is, I like at the beginning, on a personal level, how are you doing? Anderson, www.nobodygivesAfuck.org, son. Bill Gates. I care about how Bill Gates is doing personally. Bitch, fuck out. I don't care about how Bill Gates is doing personally. And then I'm sorry for what you had to experience on a personal level. I'm sorry that you made best friends with a billionaire pedophile. Come on, son. Like, what are we doing here? But hey, as Crystal pointed out earlier, at least he asked about it. Like, at least he was like, "Hey, dog. So, when you were running around town with the pedophile all the time, the guy who runs Billionaire Sex Crimes Incorporated, that was kind of weird, wasn't it?" Bill Gates is like, "I made a mistake. Who among us hasn't hung out with pedophiles? Whatever." I love how like he's the opposite of an open book. It's actually really funny because I actually wrote down some of it. Hold on. Do you have regrets? Great question. He sounds like a toddler, doesn't he? Bill Gates, when he talks, he's got a really high-pitched voice for a grown man. Everyone does. It's a time of reflection. What does that even mean? It's a time of reflection. It's a time of reflection. At this point, I need to go forward. My work is very important to me. Okay, let me summarize that in normal, plain speak. Shut the fuck up and don't ask me this, CNN bitch. I'm a billionaire. I could have your job today. Like, that, in Bill Gates' mind, he's like, shut the fuck, like, why are you even asking me about this? I didn't agree to this shit. I didn't agree to come on for this. I agreed to come on so you could tell everybody that I'm awesome. Because that's what CNN usually does for me. They do glowing profiles on me and talk about how great I am. Well, guess what? He's not great. I actually learned something there, by the way. 6 women from Microsoft said that he acts inappropriately. Actually, I didn't know there were 6 women. I heard about the previous affair, which he was asked about. I didn't know 6 women came forward. I had no idea. And just to show you how Weasley he's being, he's like, I had several dinners with Jeffrey. No, bitch, you didn't have several dinners with Jeffrey. He advised you on your marriage. Could you imagine asking Jeffrey Epstein for advice on your marriage? That's like asking a serial killer for advice on morality. Like, why don't you go chat with Ted Kaczynski about morality and ethics? That's basically what that's like. So just so everybody understands more about Bill Gates, he was involved in protecting big pharma profits at all costs. So even with COVID, he set up this COVAX thing, which is supposed to be like a vaccine charity, where he's like, I will hand out vaccines to the developing world because I'm a wonderful moral billionaire. And then, so what he's done is, simultaneously, as he runs that charity, he's blocked the lifting of the patent protections for big pharma. So in other words, he's saying, don't lift the patent protections for them. Let them keep the patent protections. So now they can't make generic vaccines, which would get enough vaccines to vaccinate the world. So he's saying, protect the profits of big pharma, and I'll just hand out tens of millions or hundreds of millions of vaccines to the developing world, as opposed to the billions of vaccines we need, which the only way we can do it is if they lift the patent protections. So he's protecting the profits of pharma over getting vaccines in everybody's arms globally. Because ultimately, this guy is a ruthless, vicious monopolist. And if you know the history of Bill Gates, you know that in the 1990s, he had that thing following him. He had that record that this guy will crush the competition in unethical, illegal ways and basically get away with it. So the only reason that changed is because he has good PR and he started doing a lot of charity. And so the media flipped the narrative on him and started talking about how he's a great billionaire philanthropist or whatever the fuck. But there's always personal benefit in this. And I mean, look, you saw it there about Jeffrey Epstein. This isn't a question. This isn't up in the air. Anybody who was hobnobbing with Jeffrey Epstein on the regular, like Bill Clinton, like Alan Dershowitz, like any of these fools, what the fuck do you think was happening? I mean, seriously, could you be more naive to say, no, I don't think Gates was involved in that other stuff? No. Again, Jeffrey Epstein really did effectively run Billionaire Sex Crimes Incorporated. Underage women, they would coerce them, they would get them to fucking do these terrible things and scar them for the rest of their lives. And all these powerful, wealthy, celebrity folks, billionaires, even science people, he would provide them with you-know-what, okay? So I don't want to hear any sort of weird defense of him. He's a piece of shit, man. He's a piece of shit. And I would lift the patent protections for big pharma so we can get vaccines across the world. And I would tax the shit out of Bill Gates. But this is what happens, man. When people have too much money and too much power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, that's what happens. And so you have this gross elitist cabal where they commit sex crimes. And then normally they go on TV and get blown by the host talking about how great they are. At least there were some minor pushback questions here, and credit to Anderson Cooper for that. But it's time for this guy's, positive PR to go away, because it's always been bullshit. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.